Hi, this is Gillian Kerr and Nicholas Santillo of Logical Outcomes, a Canadian nonprofit. Today we're going to be talking about how Logical Outcomes uses Yammer to manage projects. Nick?
Yeah, okay. There we go. Get started with a good laugh every time. So Yammer is a social networking tool. It's a part of Office 365 SharePoint. It's kind of interconnected with all of Microsoft's tools. But for the most part, we're just using it as a closed social networking system with Logical Outcomes. And that's because we work with lots of different contractors from all over the world in different cities and time zones. And we're just kind of trying to find an efficient way of being able to communicate together on projects and keep those communications in the same place. So we've decided we're going to be using Yammer so that we're not losing communications in abstract emails that end up just lost in people's inboxes, and that we can have some sort of a monitoring of communications. If people end up on vacation or sick, we can kind of see what's been going on. And we also have an ability to have an onboarding FAQ sort of area. So what we're looking at right now is the home page for Logical Outcomes Yammer. And this is the general feed in the middle here. So this is anything that someone would update, or that would be in the home page, just like a Facebook feed is going to be here. For the most part, we're not going to be really using the home feed because most of our communications are going to be going on within the specific groups.
And what I've heard is that people first coming onto Yammer, if they're not used to social networks, they're kind of confused by the complexity. So if you're coming onto Yammer, it's your first time, you've no idea where to go, where would you go?
So good question. The first place to go would be within the Team Resources group, and this is available to everyone. Everyone's able to join it or a part of it already. So going into the Team Resources, it already starts to clean up what we're looking at and focus it a bit more. We see what it is, the members. This will be pretty much every member of Logical Outcomes. And then we have everything that we've been talking about. The info pane is just general links that everyone will have. But within Team Resources specifically, we have our notes, which is our FAQ onboarding notes. And as we're still developing it, a lot of these are under draft, but they'll be finalized. And so when you have questions, you can go to read this first, how we use our tools. Any question that a contractor would have about being a part of Logical Outcomes will be within the Team Resources group. And if you have...
I'm seeing that some of them are called admin. And the reason that we're doing that is that Logical Outcomes we see as being a very open organization. There's very few things that we're hiding from people who are working from us other than issues of privacy, what people are paid and so on. But otherwise, the administrative instructions are right there along with everything else. So if you're curious about how we track time and how we pay people, there it is, admin, bookkeeping, and accounting.
Totally. We also have a note and walkthroughs on how we use Yammer. For the most part, these notes are going to have fairly simple outlines as to what to do. If you want a more detailed walkthrough, what we have are linked documents with screenshots, or we actually link to an external a website that'll have a more detailed video or walkthrough, because the purpose of the Team Resources group, I can click back here to go back to the main group, is not to instruct contractors how to use a piece of software, but specifically how we use that software at Logical Outcomes. So the main kind of idea with using Yammer for us is that it's almost a digital office space. It's a way that we can all stay connected to each other. We know who's in the office or logged in at the moment. We can start chatting with them in a private message and have a stream going, so I can see if you are available. And it's going to be very informal. This is all internal. It's not going to be necessarily client-side stuff, so there'll be typos, there will be confusions. Just like an office, though, we want to be at least polite to each other because it is public, and most of the stuff will be seen by other people or searchable, except for private messages. So this is another, can continue this conversation here, now that we're talking about private messages. I can also look at a private message by going into the inbox. And if I like something, this is just kind of like Facebook, but I can just like it as opposed to saying great and adding more and more and more items to a thread. It's easier to
pointless information. That's right.
Pretty much.
So instead of thanks ever so much, or I got your message, or yes, I read this, or I agree, you just press like, and that's sort of an all-purpose acknowledgement.
Exactly. And I would get a notification, or you would have one right now, right here, which is, so Sarah just liked something that I had written, which means that I know she's read it and she agrees with it. So we can kind of move away from it and not have to worry about that. Now, there won't be tasks specifically within Yammer because everything is so just ephemeral. Things kind of disappear if you don't deal with them or stay on top of them. So any tasks would be copied and pasted into OneNote, or we would be dealing with them within OneNote. Yammer is more where we can communicate on things and just be able to communicate informally, so we're not writing endless email threads. We don't have to change remember everyone's email address. Actually, if I wanted to talk to somebody, if I go my email here and create a message, I can write in a group, or I can send a private message, and then I can just type in the name of the person, and it'll prompt me as soon as I type in even a single letter. So I can just add everyone that I want to this private message, and then it becomes a kind of a group message for a team. I can also...
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say it's a nice place to see who you're working with. So going into All Company and seeing the members, you can see who is in the network.
Yeah, this All Company group is standard, and I think my computer's... Oh, there we go. The All Company is a standard group that everyone's a part of. We don't use it a huge amount by itself because most of our work will be going on within these groups. And right now, I'm not a part of any project-specific group, but when we start a new project, there will be a specific group with the name of that project. And that's where you'll be with all of your team members. And any communications based around that project will be in there. It'll be hidden from anyone who's not a part of it. There are some groups going on that I'm not in, or projects going on. So I can't see them. I don't see any communications that going on between those members. So it also means you can have kind of isolated meeting rooms and project-specific areas. But if I do want to access or communicate with another member of Logical Outcomes, I can go in here. I can also click up on the ellipses, and I'll be able to find team members up here as well, which would be people. When I click it, it opens. So I can click here and find people as well through that. And everyone who's part of Yammer right now will be in here. Now, what we see is some people don't have pictures and some people do. For the most part, what we'd like to do is have people sign up with their information, because if I wanted to talk to Gillian and I forget her phone number, I just need to hover over it. I'm going to get her email address, her work number, a lot of information. So this saves actually having to go to a contact sheet or a contact list. All the information is just there in her profile. But if she didn't sign in, like this Santillo person, I don't know how to call them. So one of the first things to do would just be to go into your own personal settings and to fill out your information so that we know how to get in touch with you, and that your team members specifically know how to get in touch with you, which would be just in here in the information. Skype
So
name as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, you don't have any projects right now, right? See, we can't show how the OneDrive works.
No, the only projects I'm working on are the internal projects, which are a part of Team Resources onboarding and that sort of stuff.
So in a later video, then we might show how Yammer and OneDrive work together. So you've got a Yammer group, which is the project group. That's where you hang out and talk about a project. In that project space, and if we go to Team Resources, you can see there are places on the right side where you can pin documents. And for each project, we're going to be pinning any documents and files that we're going to be using, and so that it's all in one place. It's really easy to find.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So this is an example of it. We say pinned because that's what the box is called, pinned. Every file is going to exist on OneDrive for Business, the way that we're working. So while we can keep files in the group themselves, and in Team Resources we actually do have some files because it's a unique list in these files here. For the most part, all the files are going to exist on OneDrive for Business, which means there's another level of security, and it also means that we don't have issues with different versioning. So we're always going to have the most recent version, but these will always take us to an external link.
And so now, in a future conversation, we'll talk about OneDrive for Business and how to use that.
Totally, yeah, in another video. Now, big thing here with Yammer, and this is one of the biggest issues that most people have, so definitely get to it last. But notifications, the default notifications from Yammer are excessive, to say the least. And so it's really good. One of the first things to do is to actually go into your notifications and to just make sure you change them. So I've set it up I have quite a large number of notifications right now because I'm working on the onboarding process with other people. I want to see when things are happening. But you can choose, if you know that you always sign into Yammer at the beginning of a workday or it's kind of in the background, you can have a lot of these turned off, so annoying emails about things that you know are happening.
Yeah, I've turned off all of them because I've downloaded the mobile app on my phone, and I also have the desktop notifier. So if somebody sends me a message, I get it. I don't want more clutter in my email. So I've unticked everything, and then I have a weekly digest, and that's it.
Yeah, and this is what that desktop, what you're just talking about, what that desktop looks like, that notifier. So it just exists in the background, and it just will give you a little pop-up when something happens.
All right. I think we're out of time.
Okay, great.
Anything else you really want to cover, or is that okay?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, that's terrific. Thank you. And if there's any other tools that you want us to cover or that you want us to cover in more depth, let us know.
Great,
and
thanks.
Now I have to turn off the recording.
That can be edited.